You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Are the Cats tanking for the Toronto Maple Leafs? It really seems to be that way, presented by Bet365. It's time for the Monday edition of Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill. Dude, I wanted the Battle of Ontario bad. I'm not sure we're going to get it now.
It is undecided. Oh, it's weird, man. A lot of different possibilities have been thrown around the last little while, and I guess it's not set, but if they're going to do that, I mean, they can kind of control it. I don't love it. It's chicken shit. Maybe they really do just want to rest their guys, but it seems like it's an intentional thing to, I don't know. It's just not in the spirit of the NHL or the game to tank, especially when you're like going into the playoffs, but they can do what they want, I guess. It seems doing what they're doing, winning the Atlantic potentially, and to face the Panthers again in the first round is pretty wild scenario, pretty leafy.
Our Super Chat charity partner this season is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and third in the world. Now, I think Zach put it perfectly on Saturday's edition of Leafs Nation After Dark, where it's the most leafy thing ever to potentially win the division. And what's your prize? The Florida Panthers. But in case you missed it, on Sunday, the Panthers end up losing 2-1 in Detroit. No Kachuk, no Barkov, no Reinhart, no Bennett, no Sturm, Ekblad, Kulikov. Wild stuff. And they end up losing. They actually almost scored late in that game. You know you're going to get an honest effort from whoever plays and wears that Panthers jersey. But you can't help but think and look at the standings, and Ottawa beats Columbus. And next thing you know, the Sens are 2 points back here of the Panthers.
I know. We'll see. Part of me is like, go ahead, do it then, tank and limp into the playoffs like on a losing streak with that. Mentally, that's totally weird. But on the other hand, you get all those guys healthy and they're a really good hockey team. So I don't know. Are we not 0-4 against the Senators as well this season? Yeah. So there's that. You got to beat the best to get to where you want to go. I get it. I do think like the whole fan base could use, a way to get a chance. They need to get to the second round. They need to get to the conference final. It would really do something for the psyche, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be a good thing. They limp dick into the playoffs with some chicken shit hockey by tanking, by resting it. Like, okay. And then just expect to flip the switch and turn it on. They don't have Ekblad for the first two. The Chuck hasn't played in how long? Maybe you take care of him the first round. Out you go. And then you're full steam ahead with them out of the picture. I mean, that would be the idea, obviously, if you're going to face them. And I think they know as good as anybody. You can't just flip a switch and all of a sudden you're playing wicked hockey again. Like, it would be difficult to have their best stuff when the puck hits the ice on opening night if they limp into the playoffs the way they seem to want to do it. I guess we'll see what happens down the stretch with these last, what do they have, 5 left, and see what their strategy is.
Yeah, 6 left, and I guess the Panthers have 5 remaining, right? But I think I've been consistent from the get-go in saying I don't care who the Maple Leafs play in the first round, but I really don't want Florida. I really don't. Like, we talked about this last week where they're missing a couple of notable names and still almost beat the Leafs. I just think it's a really difficult matchup, but I've got no issue in improving your worth, proving this team is different. At some point in time, whether it was the first or second round, they would have likely had to go through the Florida Panthers. So a lot can change over the next couple of weeks. And I think you're right to bring up the domination by the Ottawa Senators over the Maple Leafs. They're going to have a tough opponent regardless if it was Montreal, Ottawa, the Florida Panthers. But it's sort of funny because who's the opponent coming up tomorrow? It's Florida in Sunrise, and maybe the Leafs return serve and return that favor. But I don't even know how you do that because they have no cap space. So,
yeah, like, how do you mean return the favor?
Ryan Reeves, you're on the first line, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they're not going to play anybody, then it's kind of hard to get excited. You got a 4-point lead on second place in the Atlantic. So barring any disaster, you're probably winning the Atlantic. If they're going to tank, they're not. It's just kind of it's just weird. I don't like it. I would like for everyone to kind of give it their all. If the last 2 games you want to really pull back on some of your stars and give them a little rest, fine. I'm not against that, but like, I don't know. It does feel like tanking, and I don't know if that's because of the situation the Leafs are in, or if that's not even in, say, John Cooper's mind, or not John Cooper, sorry, in Paul Maurice's mind, if he's just literally wanting to rest his guys, or if it's an intentional, hey, let's slide down to this position and we'll face these guys first round. Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, they're not the same team they have always been. I'm not saying they're bad by any stretch. The Leafs aren't the same team they've always been. But it's yet to be proven if they can do damage in the playoffs. So yeah, I never thought we'd be talking about this. It just kind of seemed to come out of nowhere, and it's very likely they still are 2 points up. But I mean, with the way those teams in the wild card are, the trajectory and where they're headed, and if they are going to rest all those names you just listed off, then maybe we will face them. And you know what? I guess you could use that as fuel. That might piss the Maple Leafs off a little bit.
Well, I was telling producer Vic this last night. I'm like, yeah, if you're the Maple Leafs, use that as motivation. Like, they want you. They want you. Like that's bulletin board material stuff. And again, I do not like the matchup, but I think this Leafs team in general has set out this season to prove they're different. And among that conversation is, we're better than Florida. We can compete with Florida. So go out there and prove it. I'm very curious to see how they look on Tuesday. The Leafs are playing really, really well. We're going to get into that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, just thorough domination. But it is sort of intriguing to me that we have less than 2 weeks remaining in this season, and there's just like a plethora of different teams the Maple Leafs can still play in round one. But the sidebar story is, we've been talking all season long about the importance of winning the division. Here we are. They're likely to win the division. And who do they have? The potential reigning defending Stanley Cup champions in the rear view here.
Yeah, considering like they were leading the division not too long ago, it's quite the slide. I don't think anyone would have predicted that, but again, it is what it is. Use it as motivation. You could, argue that you're the better hockey team over an 82 game slate. If you can win that division, it looks like they most likely will. And these guys are banged up and they're resting guys, and now they're tanking potentially. Screw you. Bring it on. Drop the puck and just throw the kitchen sink at the Florida Panthers. Bounce them right out of there. That would be the goal. And easier said than done. I wonder if it was any other team, I would say it's going to be a lot harder to just pick up after the mental oddity of not trying to win and resting everyone, and like the rah and be ready and focus up. And here's our game plan. Let's make sure we're ready. Like none of that's going to be there, because they're just sliding down and losing. And then you just want to pick it up. I'd say it's very difficult to do mentally, but they are the Florida Panthers, and we know their history in the last couple of years and how well they've done in the playoffs and Stanley Cup champs. So I will see. It's going to be interesting, man. I guess you can't control it. There's nothing you can do. It's just an odd thing for the NHL to have. It feels foreign. It feels weird for a team like them to be like, we're just going to slide down. They're like, but they damn near could have won the division, and now they're just going to slide down to a wild card potentially on purpose. It gives me a weird vibe, but again, I hope it pisses the Maple Leafs off, because I do believe that they're a better team than they have been in the past when they faced the Florida Panthers, and now it's time to prove it if that does in fact happen.
Meantime, the folks in the chat deserve a lot of kudos for bringing up the fact that you need just 890 goals to catch Alex Ovechkin. The great chase is over. Scores the goal from his office on the power play on Long Island on Sunday. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, I just can't believe how that guy just scores at will. Like, just and the winning goal, just and the ones like he's on a 5. How, man? He just grabs it and loads it up like an absolute slingshot, and just every time he fires a puck, whether it's low blocker, far side cheese, or short side top shot, it just goes in. It's like, look where he is, and just back of the net, like way above the top of the circles. He's 39 years old. I don't even get it. It's absolutely unbelievable. And the way that no one even thought Gretzky's record was even touchable a short amount of years ago, and then it just became inevitable. And then he broke his leg, and then just pops back, and then just goes on an absolute tear. It's unbelievable. He is the greatest goal scorer of all time, and he's doing it in an era where, a big chunk, they're starting to score more goals nowadays, but there was a big chunk of time where it was very difficult to score in the NHL, and he was right in the thick of that and just continued with his 40 and 50 point or goal scoring seasons that, has got him on the top of the mountain. It's unbelievable.
I remember vividly going to a game maybe 10 years ago at Scotiabank Arena, and I got there early, so I watched warm-ups, and he was taking wrist shots from the blue line, and I'm like, how is that happening where the shot is just so hard and it's a wrist shot? Like normally you see a clapper and you could make sense of that, but it was this wrist shot from the blue line. I'm like, because you're so right. It's such a predictable play. Like you know where to find the guy. You just can't solve it if you're a goalie, which is crazy. And I think the other addition I would make is that he had never beaten Ilya Sorokin until Sunday in his NHL career. So there's another goalie victimized.
I know, it was like he got a couple tips earlier in the game, and then the first time they just loads one up, like that should hit a shin pad or get deflected, or the goalie's there. You're
Mhm.
so far out, and it doesn't even look like he's looking where he's shooting half the time, and it just goes in like all the time. It blows my mind. I remember years back when he would be the only guy in the world that could come across the blue line, just load one up and just beat a goalie from just inside the blue line. Like nobody could do that. He was using that piece of shit CCM stick too that I had tried, and I was like, God, how does he score with this stick? And again, everyone knows where he is. Everyone's able to get in position, and he still does it. It's absolutely unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. So, Russian machine. Yeah, that's exactly what he is, and he deserves it, man. Nobody can score like that guy. The way he scores, there's not one other guy. You look at Stammer, standing there taking his clappers. He's very good at it too, but nobody does it the way Ovi does. He does it in somewhat different ways, but they're all just with this dynamic, insanely explosive shot that finds a way to the back of the net on demand.
Mikey Decrepit writes in, I bet my cousin $100 almost a decade ago that Ovi wouldn't catch Gretz, going to pay him today. I know,
Yeah,
I know
my,
that feel, man. It's just like it feels like just yesterday there was like no shot. It felt like it was insurmountable. There was no way he was going to do it, and then it crept up on us a bit here.
Yeah, my brother did the same thing with a bunch of guys in our group chat, $100 bills, or he's throwing those away a few years ago, and I was like, "Ee," and then it just was so inevitable. Yeah, I think today's payday for him too. So, yeah, he proved a lot of people wrong. It's the longevity to me, to be able to do it past 35 when really, I mean, these kids are getting faster. The game is getting more dynamic. They're so skilled. The systems are so good. They're well coached. You lose your legs a little bit. Your body starts to hurt. You're going to get injured here and there. It's just irrelevant to that, man. He just defies it all. So I think it's going to be very hard for anyone to do it. Obviously, there's some talk about Austin Matthews, like the goal clip that he's on right now. He's up there with the greats as far as goals per game. And that's impressive. I think with his injury history, and I think he's got a bad wrist and whatever he's dealing with this year, that's going to catch up to you at 35, 36, 30. It's not with Alex Ovechkin, but I think it's inevitable that it will with most other players. Maybe I'm wrong. No one thought Alex could do it, but I think the longevity and the consistency is what's got him there, and it's going to be very difficult to replicate.
Just a bit of foreshadowing for what's to come a bit later on here in the podcast. Producer Vic has cooked up quite the crispy hot take of the day, and it could involve Alex Ovechkin. It could involve Austin Matthews. Final thing I'll add, plus 1,900. I was on it on Friday. Ovechkin to get the hat trick, and the guy doesn't want to go on the ice for the empty netter. You scored 66 times with an empty net, but Friday against Chicago, you decide because this goal – you got to beat a goalie. I was really pissed. I'll be honest about that, man. I wanted that Hattie bad.
Yeah, I think that doing it with a hat trick, I mean, Gretzky's record that he says will be unbeatable is his 39 or 50 goals in 39 games, which is unbelievable.
True.
I think he had 3 or 4 that game, and the final one to beat the record to make it under 40 was an empty netter, and no one seems to care. Kind of surprised. It would be pretty neat to be a hat trick, and the fact that it was at home is kind of the kicker,
I know.
especially in Long Island, and could have been maybe better, but he didn't want to do it with an empty netter, so he didn't. But I don't know. It would have been maybe a little bit neater. What do you think of his celly?
Oh, I thought it was sick, man. That was straight out of NHL 25, like the dive on the ice. And I truly feel like it was organic. Like, I don't think the guy really – I thought the cool thing about this whole great chase where it never felt like there was pressure on Ovechkin. Like, he just kept scoring and scoring. Sometimes when you get to the end and, like, you start overthinking things, he didn't, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought that last one was going to be hard to get. You saw when he had the puck anywhere in the ozone, everyone was going nuts. And I really thought that last one would be the hardest one to get. And maybe he'd be stymied a couple times and everyone would be like, man, and then you'd have to go to another game and all those fans would kind of be disappointed that bought all those expensive tickets. But no, first time he loads one up, just wires it, man. And it wasn't like a greasy one or an empty netter off a shin pad. It was an Alex Ovechkin goal. Pretty impressive, man. And yeah, I wonder now though, like people are like, can he get to 50 this year or can he get to 1,000 in his career? Like it's realistic. But now that the chase is off, I wonder if he'll still be able to like mentally have that drive to just push the way he does. I wouldn't be surprised if he still does and scores at the same clip, but you wonder if there'll be any change now that he's done it.
Hey, the sidebar story is the Caps are not playing well. They've dropped 5 of 7. They lost to a shitty Islanders team on Sunday, 4-1. Like, nobody's talking about the loss. The celebration's on. I wonder if this hangover is going to be bigger, and can he escape the hangover in time for game 1? Because they're going to play a red-hot Montreal Canadiens squad likely in round 1. I think Montreal is going to put the fear of God in that team. I can't predict an upset, but I think it's going to be closer than people think in that series.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. For whatever reason, no one is high on the Capitals. Like they've been right there. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets are, have done what they've done so far this season. Even they get some disrespect too. I mean, everyone's talking about Colorado and Dallas and Edmonton for crying out loud. But no one really is talking about, when they talk about the East, no one even mentions the team that's been leading it the whole time, which is kind of surprising. But I imagine, and yeah, I do think Montreal could give them a run. I think it would be pretty interesting if they knocked them off and could set the table potentially to meet up with the Leafs. That would be one hell of a story. Redemption from the COVID year where they blew a 3-1 lead in that series. But I wonder if that Ovi has been not a distraction, but kind of a distraction. Everyone's talking about looking at it, counting it down. That's all anyone focuses on. They're like, no one gives a rip that they lost that game last night, but it's kind of important that they did. So at least now that that's over, they can focus on getting wins again. We'll see how they respond. It'll be kind of interesting to see if there's any change in the Capitals there, because it's kind of important in the East there.
It is. At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. But I won't lie, feeling good about this Maple Leaf squad. I thought they put on a defensive clinic, quite frankly, against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Saturday night. Really, really good feeling coming out of that game, a 5-0 victory on Saturday night.
Yeah, you know how we've talked on here a few times, like, sometimes it's hard. It's the NHL. The parody is really good. We talk about that all the time. But sometimes it's like, why do you do just like, even when they win, it's kind of like, yeah, but they're hung on to the skin of their teeth against that dog shit team. And it's kind of like, can they ever just display pure dominance? And that's finally what that game seemed like. They've done it a few times lately. But to just dominate, I mean, front to back, so many guys stepped up, like Robertson and stuff. Knies was a beast. He got goals from the big boys. It just looked really solid. They weren't, you don't even have McCabe in there, which, I think that, I hope he's not out very long, because I think that will catch up to them. But yeah, like you said, basically a 60-minute dominant performance. You blew their doors off. They had no chance. They basically had no business being in the same building as them. And they seem to be really playing some really good hockey and have fans some reason to get behind them going into the playoffs, which we've talked about. That's exactly what they need. I mean, to find their game and to pick up steam and have a lot of guys starting to fire at this time of the year is huge.
The Leafs have won 4 in a row in 8 of the last 10. Their home record 25-13-1. In support of sick kids, Tante Angie 1687. Thank you so much for the super chat. What do we do about discipline going into the playoffs? Just foolish penalties lately. Exhibit A, Pontus Holmberg against Florida. Exhibit B, Nick Robertson against San Jose. I think it's a given. Every player knows you got to stay out of the box, right?
Pontus. Yeah, I don't even think that one was that bad. Yeah, it's just, to me, the ones that hurt, like if you're playing playoff style hockey and you're just gritting it out and refusing to back down and like just engaging physically and getting in these FU matches and totally like leading with your nose in those scrums, and you take a 2-minute out of one of those, man, they'll kill that all day long. Like, that's just playoff hockey. I don't mind that, but it's the little, the guy's got a little bit of a stick on you, so you reach and the toe of your blade goes between his feet, and of course he's going to feel any pressure on his leg and he's going down like a sack of potatoes, and those ones hurt, and those are the ones that catch up to you. So yeah, I don't think they're in any different of a boat than any other team out there. The coaches No, you want to play hard. You want to play strong. You want to, get to loose pucks and disrupt their puck possession, but you just can't take penalties doing it. So I really don't think it's any different than any other team, but you just don't want to be that guy to take that one penalty at the wrong time where the power play makes you pay and you're chasing after that. So I don't think they'll be doing or saying anything out of the ordinary than every team is going to be saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think any coach going into the playoffs specifically would underscore discipline. I don't think the Leafs are any different, but that has been a story. I mean, I think maybe it's just the focus to impress or whatever you want to call it, Craig Berube, but it feels like this team has had some issues discipline-wise. And in the playoffs, power plays are so important, special teams so important, and you just want to help yourself out. And so that's certainly one thing I'll be looking at, especially if it's like the Florida Panthers, man. Like, Florida game one's going to try to drag you into that fight. You just got to be very, very smart with the way you play that team specifically.
I know, but I don't want it to be such an emphasis on discipline that they play like little bitches. And every time one of those guys gets over top of them and tries to dominate and intimidate them, they're like, no, we're playing disciplined. Oh, get me away from the scrum. Like, it just mentally, you just lick your lips at those little bitch teams that don't want any smoke. And it's like, oh, we're trying to not take penalties. It's like, good, we're going to steamroll you. We might take a couple penalties throughout the series more than you do, but we are dominating you. I don't want that. And I don't think we've seen that. You like Lorentz the other night, like just the guy was kind of holding on to his stick and kind of pissed him off. So he just throws him on his back, like old school Eric Lindros. The guy gets up, throws him into the crossbar again. You don't like it, shed your shit, and we're going. Like, I love that stuff. And it's an art to be able to play that way and not take the penalties. Like, at least take a guy with you. The Panthers are good at that. The Leafs need to be good at it. It is a fine line, but yeah, the thing is too, it's not as scary as it used to be. Our power play used to be garbage, and it's like, well, if they're gonna give us each 3 tonight, I don't know if we can even get one. They might get, 2, but our PK, I like our PK. I like our goaltending. I like our D. You look at, the Tanevs and shot blocking record. I'm not scared when we take a penalty as much as I have been in the past. And when we get one, especially nowadays, not all season, but lately, that power play has been red hot, which I don't think has been talked about enough. I mean, that was their Achilles heel all season long to start. And last year in the playoffs, pathetic. And they seem to have found it. So again, all the right things going into the playoffs so far.
We'll see, dude. We will see. I've seen this episode so many times where they have a good regular season power play, gets to the playoffs, and they just can't find that goal or can't score those goals when it matters most. What did you think of Marner stepping in for Matthews in the little kerfuffle by the bench there on Saturday night? I love that.
It's awesome, man. Again, like, to play like little bitches and to always turn your cheek. Like, look at him, stops and just lets him have it. Who are you touching, buddy? And then here comes Marner. I love that. He turns his back and says, ooh, I guess that's not going to work. Look at him turn his back after Mitch comes in. He gave a half-hearted. That's who Lorentz fought too, eh?
Corrali. Yeah. Former Bruin.
Yeah, what a dickhead. I love it. When the boys come in, like, that's not their game. It's not Mitch's game by a million miles. But I have seen before where they turn their back or look kind of confused or scared or like a child next to a man. It doesn't seem like they have that as much of that mentality anymore. You see Austin just hammers him right back. Like, what are you thinking? And then in comes his boy, and the guy ends up turning his back and going to the bench going, oh, I guess that's not going to work. That's awesome to see, and I want that in the playoffs as much as anything.
Scratch and score, dude. I love this. So Nicky Robertson has made a theme of this throughout this season. He comes back in the lineup, 2 shots, 2 goals. Exactly what you need from this guy, man. Play like a man possessed after your health bomb. Play like you're pissed off, and we saw that over the weekend.
I think he does get pissed off. I mean, his tenure in Toronto, I mean, it hasn't gone smoothly. It hasn't gone how he's envisioned it, obviously. He's been up and down and back and forth and in and out, and he's had some success, but not enough. It's kind of been spotty, I would call it. And, he wasn't accomplishing enough to justify being in the lineup. We've talked about how there's a bunch of bottom 6 guys that are kind of interchangeable, and it just wasn't him taking the reins and getting that spot. Obviously pissed him off, and then inevitably an opportunity arises. He gets in the lineup, and he was playing like a man possessed, and what a huge game. And we talked about, can you get one of those guys in that's going to force their hand? You think Nick Robertson's coming out of the lineup now? even if there was everyone was healthy, there's no chance they would move someone else. So you gotta force their hand and say, I'm gonna make you keep me in the lineup by doing special things. That's what he did. The problem with Nick Robertson is, can you do it consistently? Obviously, I'm not expecting him to score 2 goals every night, but can you be effective every night? Can you have something? Can you do something? Sometimes he'll get 5 games in a row and you don't even notice them. And that's what has been his problem in Toronto, is just not enough consistency. But again, when you're possessed and you're pissed off and your job's on the line and you want to be in that lineup, you're going to do special things. And hey, I don't care who's in on that bottom 6. It can be Nick Robertson all day long. You want to play like that? I want to watch you all night long. So whoever wants to take the reins and force Craig Berube's hand is going to be the guy who's in the lineup.
The previous 10 games before that one for Nick Robertson, 1 goal, 1 assist. So yeah, consistency is definitely a question with the player. But I think to that point, a lot of the Stanley Cup playoffs, which separates the good teams from the great teams, is the coaching. And I think Craig Berube, the way he deploys his lineup, we're going to see some different looks, different players. I think oftentimes that guy you bring in the lineup and catches fire that wins you a series. And I think it's going to be a huge sort of thing I'm looking at here in the first round and moving forward for this Maple Leafs team. So even if Robertson finds himself in the press box eating that delicious popcorn at Scotiabank Arena, you come back, make a difference. And I think you add every player, you make a difference, do your job. I think it puts this team in position for victory here.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting about Berube too. It will be a different look behind the bench. And I mean, I didn't mind Sheldon Keefe. I wasn't like super high on him. Sometimes
I thought his matchup game wasn't strong in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like
I
if you
agree.
want to really
Sometimes
get into
like
it,
he was like hoping or worried or not sure, not totally confident, you know. Chiefs got more experience in the playoffs. He's been in those dog fights. He's been deep in the playoffs where, you know, those decisions are huge. So it'll be nice to see. Again, I'm just super excited to start these playoffs. I don't know who we're going to play, but the last couple of years of doing this show, we watch the playoffs and it's kind of like they're just kind of almost holding on by a thread or kind of don't quite have it or tiptoeing around the outside. And this year I'm kind of interested in seeing them just break through and just lead the charge and dictate the play and be the better team and just get the leads, spread your lead, tie it up late, like just be more clutch, be more dominant, be more confident, be the team that you've showed in a lot of stretches this year that you can be. Bring it to the playoffs, man. I'm so jacked about it. And I know everyone's been there before and all they've ever gotten for how many years is disappointment, but I choose to be high on them this year.
Yeet Hay writes in, what the fuck is popcorn reference? It's like a joke when players or health bombs eat popcorn in the press box, and the popcorn in the press box at Scotiabank Arena specifically is out of this world. I think you know that, Rosie.
That guy was mad about it too.
Yeah, people in the chat, man. It's a Monday. I get it. You're fired up about a press box popcorn reference. My apologies.
Yeah, I've spent I don't know what I played, short of 120 games in the league, and I think I was there for 260, 270. So it shows you how many games I've been in the press box before. And they're sometimes it's hard because they have a whole candy. It's like a wedding with like a candy table there, and it's like, are you kidding me? And Montreal with those hot dogs that are famous and they're in the bread, and I just douse those in mustard. Yeah, it's not great for you when you're scratched and you got all those temptations up there. But the Scotiabank popcorn is delicious.
Yeah, the spread's really good. And I remember David Price, when he was Toronto Blue Jay, he was infamously quoted in saying that he loved the popcorn at Rogers Center. It's got to be a Toronto thing, man. We just known for our popcorn, I guess.
Probably the same outfit that does it, man.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Little
At the
things
Leafs
like
Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I think you were a bit surprised, so was I, about the decision to go with Anthony Stolarz, but it proves right. 27 save shutout, and I speculated that maybe they looked at the game tape from earlier on this season. They played Columbus twice. Joseph Woll played both those games, I believe, and got lit up like a Thanksgiving turkey or a Christmas turkey, wherever you celebrate that. But I think it was a good response by Stoli, and again, it reinforced the fact that this guy is going to start game 1 of the playoffs in 2 weeks.
I think so. I think it's been that way for most of the year. I've liked Stoli a little bit more. I just have. There's very few stinkers between the two of them, but I think most of them would go to Joseph Woll. I'm just curious to what happens tomorrow night. Are you going Woll against the Panthers? Maybe, especially now that they're tanking or whatever the hell they're doing.
Tank back.
Yeah, I get. Well, maybe.
Imagine.
I mean, it's not that important that Stoli plays against his former team. They did that last week, and it went fine. So I guess that was the thing. I was kind of surprised because I just didn't see. I didn't think they'd go back to back with Stoli, and I thought they'd want him against the Cats again, but obviously not, and it worked out well. And here's a chance for Woll, assuming they go with Woll. I'm sure they will. That would be much more of a story if they go 3 in a row Stoli. But especially if the Cats are doing what they're doing, throw Woll in there, try to get him a win and some confidence. And then, the last few, it's just whatever the coach is feeling in order to get their starter feeling the best. It'll start to become all about the starter there, I think, in the last 3 games or so.
Patrick G. Mafia, we want Florida to win Tuesday, as messed up as it sounds. It's so true, though. Like I'm so jumbled up in my mind. I'm excited for this game, another measuring stick game. Who are the Panthers going to put in the lineup? Do I want the Leafs to win? Do I want Ottawa? Do I want Florida? It's all perplexing this time of year, Rosie.
I know, and as producer Vic says, it is a back-to-back, right? It's Wednesday they got
Tampa Wednesday, Florida tomorrow.
Jesus.
I think you just go Woll Stolars. I mean, what's the difference? Again, we've talked about this a lot. There's not much of a drop-off, I think.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. And it is very odd. It is very odd that it's not. I said I thought those 2 games against Florida were going to mean the world, and it was going to be a war, and it was going to be like a plant your stake and show everyone who you are type thing. It's not turning out to be that at all. One team's tanking, the other one almost wants to let him take one too. It's odd as hell. Not what I envisioned, but we'll see. I guess. Oh, it's so weird. It's not what I thought, but again, you got some pretty good teams. And I know what I was thinking. To face Ottawa in the first round, like we said, we're 0-4 against them this year. They kind of have their number. On paper, the Leafs should be much better than them, but anything that has Brady Tkachuk attached to it, I don't love. I know he's been kind of banged up.
For Matthew Tkachuk, then?
Yeah, I know, or Matthew, but it's going to be hard. Maybe those guys are banged up and they just won't have what they're supposed to. But I think what would hurt more, a loss in the first round against Ottawa or against Florida? I mean, I think the Ottawa one would just...
They would both just kill me, dude, internally. I would just be a lost man.
Lost puppy. Yeah, we'll see. It's interesting, though. We'll see how these last few go, what they do with the goaltenders. It looks very much like they're slated to go towards Stoli, but like... I think if they lose the first game and it's Stoli, I think Stoli goes back for game 2, right? I don't think it's going to be like he's on a short leash. Do you?
I don't know. Because, I think, so much depends on the scenario, right? Like, if they get lit up in game 1, I think you go to Woll. But I think Stolars is the guy. I think they made that profoundly clear in the last couple of weeks. So that's probably the way I would play it. But I would not be shocked saying this right now, 2 weeks before playoffs. I think it's very, very likely in my world we see both guys in the first round.
Yeah, I would say that, unless things go incredibly well and
sweep them. Yeah,
you get like a 4-1 win. But I think if you start with Stoli, it's for a reason. And if he loses one game, I don't think that it's, again, it depends if he gets shelled. But that would be a different story.
Because you know what, and I know it's a recent thing, but like Joe Woll seems to elevate in the playoffs. Like he was awesome.
That's true.
Last year.
That's true. He does seem to kind of be a big game dude. Yeah, maybe they do. It's a luxury, man. You have that option. If Joe Woll wasn't himself or didn't do what he's done, or it was just a different guy, it would be pretty obvious what you do. Of course, that guy could lose and he's going to go back and get a second crack at it. I just don't love the idea of a goalie in the playoffs thinking like, oh, I'm done. I'm going to get yanked here if we don't win this game. It's kind of not the mentality you want in your goaltender. But again, it'll probably come down to exactly how the game went if they're going to make a goaltender change. Is it on his shoulders or not?
I will say it's a better issue than having Ilya Samsonov in there. That Trent Frederick goal haunts me still from last year's playoffs, where it's like I know either Woll or Stolars will be in there and they're going to make saves when this team needs them and lead them to potential victory here. I want to get to the fights. You talked about the Lorenz Corrali scrap, but by the way, 12 different guys have fighting majors this season for the Maple Leafs, but I was more intrigued with the other fight. We saw Benoit and Olivier go at it, and I think I truly feel Olivier let up. Did you have that feel watching that fight?
Let me look at it again here. Man, that is
Look at
such
him.
a
He's
big
just like
boy.
chilling, dude.
He's a big boy for he's got confidence. He's kind of one of the top dogs in the league, man. I'm high on Olivier. I think he was just taking his time, and you could tell Benoit's kind of like, geez, doing like Benoit's tense, like, oh, this is a big dog for me. And yeah, at the end there, he didn't seem to want to go hammer down. Maybe he wasn't
He's a good
feeling
guy,
good.
man.
There's so many times where you got a bad knuckle or hand or your thumb and every punch, and if a guy's kind of gives you his best and that's kind of all he's got, you're okay with just letting her go. But yeah, it did look a little bit light. Again, unreal for Benoit to step up to that guy. That's a big boy. That's these guys that have big names that have fought all the big dogs. It's a handful, and it's your blood pressure is high when the gloves and stick hit the ice and you're going bare knuckle against a guy like that. So hats off to Benoit. I love that guy. I just keep liking him more. I'd like him to be in the playoffs and not be the odd man out if something happens, but we know where our depth is right now. But yeah, I kind of watched that again there, and especially at the end there, he was fine with just letting her go. I don't know. I kind of like if you're going to go balls out, but it seemed like he was kind of at about 75% there.
Oh, he showed mercy for sure. And I respect that. The more and more I watch Olivier play, like he plays with a lot of dignity and class. You're being like probably the biggest fighter in the league, him and Jack-Eye. And Jack-Eye barely plays right now. Like he's been a health bomb, I think 4 or 5 games in a row. And Olivier's scoring goals. Like he's very old school. He'll drop the gloves. He's not an overly big guy. I think he's like 5'10", but the grace in which he plays that role, I actually really respect and appreciate. I think he could have murdered him. I truly feel that way. Like and you would know better than me, but you're right. Late in that fight, the let up, and I think you could sort of, I don't want to call it fear because I think Benoit knew what he was signing up for when he gets in. He probably has to go in that sort of scenario, but I think it was a good account and it goes a far way in the room too.
Oh, just showing up is all you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you get the tar beat out of you, no matter what happens, showing up is everything. And the guys are jacked, especially when you're going up against a tougher dude with that reputation. That's kind of everything. Just showing that you're willing is huge. And I don't know if maybe Olivier was at the end of his shift or something. When you're gassed and you just don't have it and your adrenaline doesn't spike and you can barely hold your arms up after a scrap, you're more than happy to have those lineies pop in there. I've been there many times, but it just did seem like he was very, very calm during that entire scrap. And I like the way he plays too. He seems to be elevating his game outside of the scrapping quite a bit. He's getting regular shifts and playing meaningful minutes, and he can handle anyone in the league. And when he does do that, he's not a meathead. He's not a showboat. He's not acting like a moron out there. So yeah, I'm a big fan on that Olivier. Back last year, we covered a lot of scraps, and he just kept showing up as one of the guys that people seem to like for good reason.
Worm Castings, writes in, class, he picked the fight, classless. I believe, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, there was a big hit on the play, and I feel like Olivier looked around the ice and said, hey, this is the only guy who's probably going to go me. I think somebody's got to step up to the plate, and it was Benoit. And I think Benoit knew that role, too. So
exactly. That's why you love Benny. Like, he doesn't, doesn't have to, and he's not... I would like he's capable. He's got the balls is what it comes down to. Like, you're not a heavyweight. You're not known for it. He's not a phenomenal fighter. He doesn't have a style that's like dominant. We're going to win a ton of them, but you're willing. And Olivier knew that. He knows how he plays and thought that would be the only guy who would even dream of it. And I think it goes throughout the locker room that Benny is that guy, even though he's not this mutant who's like designed for scrapping. He's willing. And again, that's really all that matters at the end of the day in the eyes of your teammates is showing up, especially when it's a guy with a reputation like Olivier.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I can't believe we've gone 40 minutes, haven't recognized Matthew Knies' performance, dude. Holy shit. Was he excellent in that game? And I'll just say it. I think it's the best game I've seen Matthew Knies play at the NHL. He was everywhere, tried the Michigan. I think showed his versatility, showed how different of a style he is than most guys on that roster. Had 1 assist, 6 shots on goal, 4 hits. Just the coverage is insane for this guy. He's so good.
Yeah, he's everywhere. Any team in the National Hockey League would take this guy. He he checks so many boxes at a very high level. And I mean, appears like he's only getting better, right? It's not like he's 6, 7, 8 years into his NHL career and you know what you're going to get. His ceiling keeps getting higher and higher, and he keeps, plugging along, getting better at different aspects of the game, playing with those big boys. I don't even think those guys are necessarily making him better. I think he's on that line for a reason because of what he does and what he contributes. But again, another guy peaking at the right time and finding his game. And I feel like so many guys on that roster, their confidence is right where it needs to be. Obviously Nick Robertson's got a bunch of confidence right now. Max Domi, after having no confidence for so long, I think he even said that publicly. He must have some right now. The big boys, Knies and Stoli, and like Tanev's got that shot block record. I know he doesn't even really care about it, but just everyone's they can look at themselves and be like, I've got a lot going for me right now. I've got a lot going on. I feel good. I feel confident. I imagine everyone's ready for the playoffs, which I don't think that's been the case every year.
No, that is for sure, and that's for certain. And support of Sick Kids, John Gallagher, thank you so much for the super chat. Rosie, are there players who respond/don't respond to tough love? Coaching Marner responded to Babsy's pretty good. Good luck in pursuit of the last 890, by the way.
Maybe I'll get the call. Yeah, dude. It's crazy nowadays. I remember my last year playing in North America, and I'm like 30, I don't even know, 31 or 32. And there's these 20-year-old kids, and it's like, if the coach even like kindly says something like in very constructive criticism, if there's even a hint of criticism, just into a shell he goes, and he's not talking to anybody, and he's fucking, and it's like, oh my God, buddy, how have you gotten to this level when you're that mentally weak? And I think we've talked to a lot of coaches on this show with how many we've had on, some of the adjustments, some coaches who have, been coaching for 20 years, what they've had to make over the last little while, as far as adjustments to these younger generation kids. Not everyone responds to, cracking the whip or being hard on them or the tough love thing. Not even close. And it used to be back in the day, everyone got tough love. If you couldn't handle it, you didn't stick around. You didn't see the guy anymore. Bye, you're gone. You never heard from him again. Everyone needed to respond to tough love. And those guys were a lot tougher than the way they're building these men today. And I think coaches need to be careful of that. And I think it's a much bigger balancing act, trying to figure out who you can, crack the whip on a little bit and who you need to coddle a little bit. And unfortunately, more guys than ever need that little coddling, which I think pisses a lot of people off. And I wish it wasn't that way, but the whole world is that way.
A relevant example, you're so right. I'm sure he caught this. Patrick Waugh was very candid in his breakdown of Anthony Duclair's play a couple weeks back, called him god-awful. And Duclair has now requested a leave of absence with 8 games remaining in the season. He's cooked. I'm out of here.
I know. What's that guy make? Like 7 or
too
8?
much. Too
like
much.
$1 million. Like, you are a professional. He's been playing a long time. And I think I need some days to myself here. Like, you leave the team. Like, why don't you go hit the gym, take some frustration out on some dumbbells, then go out there and absolutely do something fucking wild, like fight a guy or go through a wall and say, yeah, well, you think I'm useless out here? I'll do anything for this team, and be that guy instead of, I need to step away for a while. It's fucking gutless chicken shit. It's not a good look. I don't like it. Maybe he's fighting some demons off the ice or something, so I guess I'll tread lightly, but it's a bad look. Coach comes down on you a little bit for not playing enough instead of responding with, the way a man should, in my mind. You need to step away. Like, what the hell is that going to do for you? You're just going to have that on your shoulders every day you wake up. It's going to be nothing's going to get better while you leave the team and take some time to yourself. Like, wow, fucking, I just don't get it sometimes. It's a different beast being a coach in the NHL these days.
It is. If you're Duclair, I don't know who you return to that room, whether it's late this season or next season, when it's like, you think about like the leadership core and they're like, buddy, we were in the mix for a playoff spot and you called it a day.
You still getting
scored a
like
big goal.
When your paycheck shows up in your stall and you haven't even been there that week. Okay. That's just, I don't, it's not a good look in my mind. And again, I'd like to tread lightly because maybe there's
we don't know.
mental things going on. I don't know. That can be difficult. I understand that. But aside from that, just not liking Patrick Waugh or not having confidence or not liking the way he came down on you or the fact that it was in the media or publicly, like, so what? Go flip the script. Go change it. Go be in control of your destiny. It sure as hell isn't going to be leaving the team. I'll tell you that much.
In support of Sick Kids, Jose Duarte, thank you for the super chat. I would like to see more out of Robertson. I hope he plays in the playoffs. I think to your point, Jose, I think we're going to see him utilized and dispersed. I don't know if he's going to play every game, but he's like that sixth man. You take him off the bench, you put him into a game and hope he scores. And that one goal could put you through, right?
He's capable of getting a big one. And fortunately, unfortunately for him, but he's used to being the odd man out and having to watch and prepare and waiting for your opportunities. Obviously, this past game, he did exactly that and made the most of an opportunity, made a statement. But I don't mind seeing Robertson being one of those guys. Again, there's a few interchangeable guys in my mind. I'm not really privy to anyone in particular, but Robertson, the way he works, like you can't knock him for that. Sometimes it's to no effect, or it's not accomplishing a lot, or it's just hitting the brakes, going back the other way. But he moves his feet. He works hard. He tries to be effective. He tries to be everywhere. And he's got the ability to finish plays and he's got that touch, that offensive touch. There's no question about it. Again, consistency's kind of been his only thing that's been plaguing him. But again, if he sits in the press box for 2 playoff games and he gets a chance in game 3 or game 5 or 7, whatever the hell it is, you're going to get his best. At least you have that. And I would not mind seeing him in the playoffs at all.
As Dizzy Delta 99 puts it, scratch him and then play him. It's guaranteed goals. That's the move right there. Clearly.
He seems to respond when he's got a chip on his shoulder and wants to prove something. So yeah, again, his only thing is when he gets an over, like a large amount of opportunity, and he's a staple in the lineup, and he's in every night. It seems to kind of slow down, and then all of a sudden the accomplishments out there and the effectiveness isn't quite there. But that's part of being in the NHL, man. You got to be able to do your job every night on somewhat of a consistent basis, and he's still working on that.
I thought Willie was great on Saturday, but that's like lather, rinse, repeat every game. He's got 44 tucks, a 2-goal effort. 15 of his goals, by the way, I thought this was interesting, have come against the Metro Division. But suddenly you look, there's 6 games left, and Nylander needs 6 for 50 for the first time in his career here.
Oh, that's a lot of goals, man. 50. Yeah. I like it. I like the confidence that he does it with sometimes. Like, I love like little Willie swagger, right? I like it more than Mitch's swagger sometimes. I just like Willie's style, man. He's scoring like crazy. He's got that chem going on quite often with JT, and JT is Ben El Fuego as well. So it's just, again, I just keep coming back to there's a lot of positives right now. A lot of guys are right where we want them to be heading into that playoff stretch. I want nothing more than for that to continue and them to feel like they've got everything they need going into that first series.
Coming up this week, a 4-game slate. So as mentioned, the Leafs closing in on the Stanley Cup playoffs, 6 games remaining, but they got at Florida tomorrow, at Tampa, home to Montreal Saturday, at Carolina on Sunday. Then they wrap next week with Buffalo and then Detroit. So we're almost there, but like you, I'm curious to see how they deploy the crease, the lineup. I guess not much can change. Obviously, Kampf and McCabe are out right now, and the best of my knowledge, they're up against the cap, so can't even recall guys, whether, it's a Ryan Reeves or a Marshall Rafai. Maybe you go with 11-7, 11 forwards and 7D at some point here.
I'm so glad we haven't seen that this year.
How's your fave? So
gross. Such a ruiner of any camo momentum or consistency. I don't like it, so I'm glad Berube doesn't do that, but that's fine. They got guys that they can interchange around a little bit. Like we've been talking about who should come up here and who should play there. And there's just that bottom 6 has got some guys that are capable. And I think some guys are finding some chemistry and finding little things here and there. So I'm not too worried about it. I would love to know what's wrong with McCabe and the severity of it. I think he's day-to-day, but
same thing as Pacioretty.
Yeah. At this point in time, that means absolutely nothing to me. I don't think we'll ever know, but Patches, it's kind of like a cap thing. No, like Patches can't really come back right now with the cap situation.
It's the longest bout of back spasms in the history of the NHL, Max Pacioretty.
He just keeps spasming. It is what it is. Just the only thing is being a little bit of an older guy, not really, shaking off the cobwebs in game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs is kind of difficult. But he's a wily veteran. I think he'll know how to do it. And I just want to be 100% healthy. That could be the one thing that derails everything we've talked about today with all the positive things and where they're at. I like McCabe. I hope it's just, he's got something bugging him, and an extra couple days is going to go a long way.
Yeah, I would give him the next 2 off. I think they're going to be tough games. Not to mention, I know he could play those games, but I think you're calm, cool, and collected. Whether you're grabbing this spot or a 2-3 matchup, I think the Leafs are feeling good. Obviously, they made the playoffs, so get him good, get him healthy, get him good to go for the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's time now for the crispy hot take of the day, presented by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
I got to get my hands on one of those things. It's an all-in-one system. It includes 4-quart, 6-cup, Tempware glass containers and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With the Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies. Cook a personal size meal in 7 minutes in the 6-cup container. Max crisp, bake, air fry, and recrisp with the Ninja Crispy. You can prep, cook, and store anything from crispy favorites to one-dish meals. Visit their website in the link in the show description and stay tuned for your chance to win a free Ninja Crispy roll.
Sick! I always get hungry watching that one. I like it. I'm excited for Vicky's hot take.
Oh, this is spicy carbonara. Producer Vic's hot take of the day. Here we go. Like Alex Ovechkin, Austin Matthews will pass Wayne Gretzky's goal total one day too.
What's Austin? I know his clip is unreal.
He needs they did the math. He needs 10 or 11 years. It's gonna be tough.
That is a hot take. I mean,
it is.
He's been a little quieter this year. Again, this isn't a 69 goal season by any stretch. I think he battles injuries. He wasn't playing certain points of the playoffs last year. He's been injured multiple times. He's been seeing specialists in Europe. He's not even out of his 20s. So I think you got to keep rocking and rolling at 35, 36, 37, just clipping them off like a maniac. I just think I just wouldn't bet on it. It's a massive task. I'm not saying it can't happen. Stranger things have happened. He's a phenomenal goal scorer. But that's a task that just, I think it's wild enough that Ovi did it.
I agree. And by the way, Matthews is at 398, so 2 more for 400. But to me, it's the longevity. We've talked about this a lot. There's no doubt. I think he's the best goal scorer on the planet right now is Austin Matthews. It's more so how many games can he get in every year. That's the cool thing about Ovechkin. Every year, the majority of the seasons he plays a lot. This year, he missed some time, obviously, with the broken leg. But the longevity and the consistency, you're right. When you're that age, to score at that clip is going to be difficult, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it. I like it. I love the positivity, Vicky, but I'm going to have to raise my eyebrows at that one. That is a tall task.
Yeah, fair enough. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION. That's NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. To get in on the game, must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. Anything you're looking at tonight, Rosie?
Looking at that Jets St. Louis Blues game. The Blues are the poor Calgary Flames. I mean, they were looking like they could sneak into the playoffs potentially unexpectedly, but the St. Louis Blues just absolutely took off on a 12-game heater or something. You can get them at plus 145. How often can you get them? I know it's against the Jets, but as I like to poke and prod my friend in our group chat who's a diehard Jets fan, they tend to get a little tight at around playoff time. So maybe the Blues can snatch them, and at 145, I dig it.
And if you're feeling the blues, maybe Jimmy Snuggerud, who's a rookie, is now on the top line with Holloway done week to week here for the Blues. So I think there's some really good value. I think I saw him around plus 155, 160 to pick up a point on that top line with Buchnevich and the red hot Robert Thomas. We talk about John Tavares being red hot since the Four Nations. Robert Thomas, every game, a couple apples, man. It's crazy.
Yikes. Jimmy Snuggerud?
Yeah.
What a
Sick
handle,
name,
buddy.
eh? I know.
Jimmy Snugsy. I like it.
One of my
Cool.
buddies actually messaged me today. He's like, here's a really good fantasy hockey name, and it's Superfly Jimmy Snuggerud. That's incredible. It takes my hockey, my wrestling tie-in too.
Jeez. I like it. Yeah, I don't know. A reason to believe that's where my money's at there on my Bet365 app.
As producer Vic tells us, supporting his hot take, Austin Matthews, one more goal this season will be Austin's 200th in 4 seasons, man. Think about that. Electric.
His 200th goal in 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow, averaging 50. Yeah, well, you got to keep averaging 50 for another decade, man. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. But he's doing really well right now. When they're cracking off the goals per game there, and they're showing like the Mike Bossies and the Mario Lemieux, and then Austin's right there with the big boys, man. Like he's a goal scoring machine, and it would certainly help out if you pop off like a couple more 70 goal outings, which if he's 100% healthy and gets hot as hell, like yikes, that's certainly helps your cause.
Never say never with Matthews, but I can safely say what we saw last year, we're never going to see again. That is so insane what he did looking back at it. 69 goals.
Nothing seems hard when you're doing it, right? Like
I know.
When you're watching it, it's just like, yeah, I mean, pick a sport when guys are doing ridiculous things. It's just like, yeah, like he'd probably do that forever. But sports are very hard. And if Austin's like never really been hurt and it just has this, has a body that's just held up really well and is just consistently in the lineup for 80 games a year, I'd be a little bit more open to it. But I mean, he's already have pretty considerable issues in his 20s. I don't see that getting considerably better going into your 30s and mid 30s. It's just such a difficult thing.
I guess Matthews was asked about Ovechkin's run and the great chase and passing Gretzky, and he said, that's such a long way to go. I don't think I should even be in that conversation. This guy just broke the record. I'm so far away from that, and I think it shouldn't really be a focus on myself. Okay.
Oh, wicked answer, man.
Yeah.
I like that answer. That's exactly how he should have answered it. It's so far away. Why are we even talking about that when Ovi just did what he did? I think, yeah, that's a good answer.
I would just be like, I want to win a Stanley Cup this season. Pretty much what he said. Yeah.
In case you haven't noticed, the personal bullshit doesn't get me too far.
Yes.
We need to win.
Yes, a non-politically correct answer. I think you use the word bullshit. You maybe say a swear word, or I don't know. There's different routes you can go. But anyways, good stuff today. You're off tomorrow. Dave Pagnotta is going to be in the mix. So I guess we'll get you next on Wednesday where we're going to find out
the Cats game.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea what that is even going to look like. No idea. Both teams want to lose. What if we give what if they tank and we tank down and face like the 2 and 3 and let like Tampa face Florida as the Atlantic Division winner in the wild card? Wouldn't that be wild?
Yeah.
I don't like
know.
I'm not suggesting that in the slightest, man. You'd have to slide the rest of the games. No, thank you.
They'll play who they play. That's all we can sort of say right now. But anyways, good stuff today.
Rock and roll. You too, Nikki, Bobby, and thanks, producer Vickin.
There's Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga at the Leafs Nation 401 on your way out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back in the mix tomorrow. Dave Pagnotta there. We'll preview this Leafs Panthers game, the 4th and final meeting here of the regular season. Talk that and take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.